This story does not begin with panic or chaos. It begins with confidence. On the morning of April 14th, 1912, the Titanic was not a tragedy. It was a triumph. The largest ship ever built moved calmly through the North Atlantic, cutting through the water with absolute certainty. Passengers woke up to sunlight reflecting off an endless ocean. Stewards prepared breakfast. Engineers checked systems that had never failed. Nothing felt wrong. At that moment, the Titanic was considered the safest place on Earth. Newspapers had already called it unsinkable. Not as a marketing trick, but because it genuinely seemed true. The ship had 16 watertight compartments, advanced engineering, and a crew trained for emergencies that most believed would never happen. People trusted the ship completely. First-class passengers discussed business deals and future plans. Families walked the decks and took photographs. Children played without fear. Below deck, workers followed routines they had practiced many times before. This was not a ship expecting disaster. This was a ship expecting applause. Earlier that day, wireless operators received multiple messages from nearby ships. These messages warned of ice fields and large icebergs ahead. None of them caused serious concern. Ice in the North Atlantic was common, and captains had navigated through it for decades. The Titanic was fast, powerful, and modern. Speed was not reduced. As afternoon turned into evening, the ocean became unusually calm. There were no waves, no wind, and almost no sound except the engines. Ironically, these were the most dangerous conditions for spotting icebergs, but at the time, it felt peaceful. Passengers dressed for dinner as the sun set. Formal clothing replaced daytime wear. Music filled the dining rooms. Laughter echoed through the hallways. Everything felt normal. Somewhere below deck, another ice warning arrived. This one was specific and direct, warning of heavy ice directly ahead. The message was received, but it was not immediately delivered to the bridge. Not because of negligence or fear, but because nothing felt urgent. At around 9 o'clock that night, the temperature dropped sharply. The sky was clear, filled with stars. Experienced sailors later described this as extremely dangerous visibility, but to passengers it felt beautiful. People walked the decks, breathing in the cold air, enjoying the calm night. At 9:40 p.m., another warning arrived from a nearby ship. Icebergs were directly in Titanic's path. The wireless operator acknowledged the message and then returned to sending passenger telegrams. The communication system was overloaded with personal messages, business deals, and love letters meant to arrive in New York. No one believed these might be their final words. Inside the ship, the orchestra played softly. Drinks were served. Conversations continued without concern. At 11:39 p.m., the lookout noticed something ahead, a dark shape darker than the darkness around it. An iceberg. The warning bell rang and the message was sent to the bridge, but this story is not about the impact. It is about everything before it. Because even seconds before disaster, nothing felt wrong. The ship did not shake. There was no explosion, no panic, no screaming. Most passengers never noticed anything at all. In their cabins, people slept peacefully. Some were reading. Some were writing letters. Others were already dreaming of their arrival in New York. At 11:40 p.m., history changed, but the ship did not know it yet. For several minutes, the Titanic continued moving forward. The lights stayed on. The music continued. Crew members inspected the damage calmly. This was what the ship was designed for. But something was different. Water was entering multiple compartments, more than the design allowed. The calculations no longer worked. Slowly, officers realized what no one had prepared for. The Titanic was going to sink. Even then, passengers were not informed immediately. Why cause panic when everything still looked normal? Orders were given quietly. Lifeboats were prepared discreetly. Crew members moved with calm efficiency. Passengers were asked to put on life vests as a precaution. Many laughed. The ship felt safe. There was no visible danger. Some refused to leave the warmth of the ship. Others returned to their cabins to collect valuables. Time passed quietly. What made the Titanic deadly was not panic. It was disbelief. People could not accept that something so powerful could fail. The disaster did not arrive loudly. It arrived politely. Even as lifeboats were lowered, many were not filled. People hesitated to leave. The lights were still on. The music was still playing. The ship was still floating. Fear came too late. By the time reality became unavoidable, time was already gone. More than 1,500 people would lose their lives that night. Not because they were careless or foolish, but because everything felt normal for too long. The Titanic did not fail suddenly. It failed quietly. Disasters rarely announce themselves. They do not arrive with sirens or alarms. They arrive disguised as routine, comfort, and confidence. The Titanic was not defeated by the ocean. It was defeated by certainty. Certainty that nothing could go wrong. This was the last normal day of the Titanic, and the world has never forgotten what came next.